Next Bank is proud to sponsor Digital Weather Desk with local meteorologist Jared Floyd.
The Digital Weather Desk is your local source for the latest weather information to help keep you and your family safe and to plan your week. You can follow us on our social media platforms, download our app, and you can also find us at digitalweatherdesk.com. The Digital Weather Desk,
powered by Century Next Bank.
Hey folks, thanks so much for stopping in on this Wednesday afternoon, about 12:15, and the forecast has just been updated to the app, the Digital Weather Desk app, and at digitalweatherdesk.com. So again, if you don't have time to listen to me blabber and you just need the latest numbers, you can go check those out. Nothing dramatic really changing in terms of rain chances going into Friday. Obviously, still keeping an eye on the severe weather threat as well. Today's forecast made possible by Flying Tiger Brewery and Pizza Bar. Go check them out if you haven't lately. They just had a fresh batch of Juicy if you're indulge in those types of things. But also, let me pull up the... we've got info. I've got info. Hang on. Jazz night was last night. Regular hours tonight. Happy hour on Friday. With Dan Sumner on Friday night as well. Dan's a great musician, so go check out Flying Tiger Brewery and Pizza Bar. Again, General Claire is the most underrated thing on the menu. Get the classic salad, too, especially for those that are eating healthy for the start of the new year. Again, visible satellite shows quite a bit of sunshine, and we finally got rid of the last of the fog, although the fog has not completely cleared for the entire deep south, if you will. Toledo Bend and into the southern parishes in Louisiana and across eastern Texas, low clouds and fog have been rather pesky and persistent. Radar made possible by Brown's Roofing. Schedule your free roof inspection at brownsroofingla.com. Nothing doing radar-wise. We'll keep an eye on the rain chances as they are likely to increase going into the weekend. Hayden says anything about Friday. We'll get to Friday in just a minute. I will say there is going to be a severe weather threat, and we'll get to that more in depth in just a second. In fact, in like probably 45 seconds or so, because there's not a whole lot else to really talk about. But I would stay weather aware through the day on Friday. There will be much more information. Again, if you don't have time to really stay in and hang around for this particular forecast, there will be a lot more information later this afternoon. We get a new update from the Storm Prediction Center regarding Friday's outlook in a couple of hours, and I'll have a full update then. So if you're looking at what I provide you here in the short term, you're going, well, he didn't really talk about a whole lot. There's about to be another kind of information dump, if you will. And obviously, we're also kind of focused on what's going to happen Thursday going into Friday, and then we'll kind of approach Friday and get closer and talk more in detail about it. Temperatures are in the 60s and 70s. A little bit of cooler, drier air punched in across southern Arkansas through the overnight hours of that weak front. It won't hang around for very long. In fact, temperatures climbed rather quickly because the air is so dry across southern Arkansas, and they also saw quite a bit of sunshine. But the dew points will rebound quickly tonight. Winds will be back out of the south, probably pushing dew points into the low to mid-60s, which is more than sufficient to support shower activity and maybe a few thunderstorms along the way as well. In fact, looking more and more likely on Thursday that we're just going to deal with scattered showers and overcast skies, just kind of a gloomy, gross, damp day with the opportunity for some thunderstorms late in the day or even into the overnight hours, and that would really only be for a few select parts of the area. In fact, here's a look at the severe weather threat for tomorrow. We'll get to the future cast in just a minute and try to do things a little differently, at least for this live stream. Here's a look at tomorrow's severe weather threat. Again, it has changed quite a bit, and I'll explain why in just a second. And then as we go through the day on Friday, this severe weather threat hasn't changed from this morning, but it will change here in a couple of hours. I'll bring you the updated image when we get it. Again, a reminder that these severe weather outlook areas, if you will, are human-drawn by human meteorologists. They are prone to be changed and molded. That's what forecasts are meant to do. And all of them are made possible by Allegiance Health Network. Futurecast, again, shows the winds back out of the south, pushing that warm, humid air back in across the region. There's the marginal risk for Thursday. I know it's kind of tough to see, but it's that faded green glob that you see across the mid-Mississippi Valley. Again, as I mentioned, overcast with showers through much of the day on Thursday it's not necessarily the environment that's going to foster a lot of severe storm potential, especially when the main disturbance that's driving a lot of that activity is going to be moving through portions of the Plain States and moving farther away from our area. It's going to kind of move behind the banner into the Great Lakes region. So it's taking what limited ingredients we have and moving farther away from the area. Now, I know a lot of folks are probably looking at this little lobe of the marginal risk area that includes our region and go, well, why are they included? Well, they're included twofold. One, because they do still have the best ingredients through the course of the day in terms of kind of forcing in the upper levels of the atmosphere and a combination of the warm, humid environment that they could see, in theory, a thunderstorm as early as late Thursday afternoon. But as you go into the nighttime hours Friday, now keep in mind these severe weather outlooks are issued from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. So this goes into the overnight hours and early Friday. As we start to see the stronger low-level and mid-level winds crank up across our region and through the lower Mississippi Valley, we really start getting some stronger winds through the region. There's going to be the outlying opportunity that maybe we see a pre-dawn thunderstorm in this marginal risk area that I've drawn out and circled here. We've continued to hint at that. The computer models have hinted at that pretty frequently, that early to mid-morning storms are not out of the question going into Friday. Then as we go into the day on Friday, obviously you see the slight risk level 2 that encompasses much of the region as storms develop through the early afternoon hours and advancing through the Mississippi Valley by late afternoon, early evening. Again, timing has generally trended later with the upper level storm system's passage. That means the front moves through later, gives us more time to pull in warm, humid air, and then that boundary moves off to the east. Skies clear to a certain degree on Saturday, but I'm not convinced that we're not going to deal with some wraparound cloud cover through the day on Saturday as we stay quite chilly. Rain totals. Again, storm-driven rains will lead to some scattered, kind of wild rain totals across the area. Obviously, the thunderstorm-driven rains, we could see 1 inch to 1.5 inches relatively quickly. If you miss out on the thunderstorms, maybe a quick 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch with some showers. The official forecast rainfall over the next 3 days, as issued by the Weather Prediction Center, I like to try to give you as many different numbers as possible. At least give you a wide array of information to work with. That way, if you go, well, his forecast was wrong, but he did show that, or he showed that and it was wrong, but his forecast was right, whatever. Again, generally 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Just really depends on who sees the most concentrated, prolonged thunderstorm activity. It does lead to at least the possibility of some excessive rain potential. That's the flash flood risk or the excessive rain outlook, and it includes a marginal risk. There's only 4 categories in this, and that's the Mississippi Valley on Friday. These areas have the highest likelihood of seeing multiple rounds of thunderstorms, so rain could become excessive in theory and lead to some localized street flooding or flash flooding issues. Daytime highs today, generally in the low to mid-70s. Winds will continue out of the south. Again, the fog has cleared out, but the clouds will not. In fact, where we have seen some sunshine, the clouds will roll back in later on tonight. Go ahead, Hayden, ask another question. I may be able to get to it before we wrap this live stream up. Low 60s tonight, but the fog could return. Winds will be out of the south-southeast, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Look at the 7-day forecast. If you've been following the live streams, I talked about how we can change the days to red just to kind of get your attention. I don't want to make it any more dramatic than it needs to be, but red days on the 7-day forecast mean that I would urge or caution you to pay more attention to the weather than normal, that you will need to stay aware of changing weather conditions through the course of the day. So we went ahead and highlighted Friday in red. Again, not trying to gloom or doom or scare you or anything like that, but on days where the weather is expected to be impactful or disruptive, that's why we do it. Hayden asks, what did you say about Friday, meaning the worst of it will be over by Friday night? Yeah, more than likely most of our storms will be gone by Friday evening, Friday night for most of the area. They will be ending from northwest to southeast through the area as we go through the day on Friday. Still some time to play with the forecast in that regard as well. The timing is still suspect, so some changes could still be had there. If you missed the morning stream, I will provide a little bit more information. The Digital Weather Desk has partnered with Weather Call Next Gen to provide another kind of security blanket, if you will, in terms of severe weather safety. We always talk about needing 3 different ways of receiving severe weather alerts, just in case one of those methods fails. A NOAA weather radio is always kind of the number one thing that I suggest folks have. The Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users, obviously is a handy tool as well. But we've also partnered with Weather Call Next Gen to set up. Now, granted, it is a paid service, so you will have to pay $15 a year, about $1.50 a month, but you pay it all at once, to have phone calls, emails, or text messages alerting you to warnings in your area. It's based on your home address. You can change those addresses. It's a very easy user interface. I will have more information about that hopefully later today. I know I'll have more information about it tomorrow, so we can hopefully get folks squared away and set up on that before the storms threaten the area on Friday. Again, that's just going to be a new, it's an optional additional service that you can opt into, and you can also cancel at any time. Again, I'll have more information on that later today. Just signed the agreements and all that stuff yesterday. Looking forward to partnering with them, and again, giving you one more option of how to receive alerts, especially for folks that treasure their sleep and really want to go to bed at night when we have these overnight severe weather threats. Weather Call will call and wake you up. Pretty cool stuff. Again, forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users. I'll join you later today. Fishing game comes out at 8 p.m. tonight. I'll join you with another live stream at 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere in that ballpark later today. And also another update, a lot of reading material, if you will, regarding severe weather threats later this afternoon. Next update from the Storm Prediction Center regarding Friday will be at about 1:30 today. It'll take me a while to get all the graphics all nice and pretty and write everything up. So, yeah, 2:30, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that ballpark, we'll have another update, then the live stream, all kinds of stuff. When there's stuff to talk about, I can give you lots of content. And so, obviously, with the storms Friday, we'll have to pay attention there. Again, thanks so much for making the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank part of your day. I'll check in with you later this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.